Writers create images through the breadth and scope of their word creations, but often, especially in the case of children's books, pictures are worth 1,000 words. We'll talk about pictures and, of course, words in just a moment. This is The Right Stuff. Hello, I'm Veronique Mandal. With me now on The Right Stuff is the author of several children's books, beautifully illustrated. She's won awards for her work, and in the second half of the show, we'll meet the co-founder of the Windsor International Writers Conference, where my first guest, Robin Martin, has won an award. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm just so delighted to have you here. I have your first book here, and of course I have all your books here, but let's get to Zoo on the Moon. Tell me about that. Where did the idea come from?
Oh, a long time ago I wrote this poem, and for many, many years I put out queries, and many, many years I was rejected. And finally, I decided after, I wrote it when my kids were born, and then after several years when they were like teenagers, I decided to try again. And somebody picked it up, and yeah.
It's often the way writers start out. It's a very lucky writer who doesn't have enough rejections to paper a wall, isn't it?
Exactly.
Now, I want to get to your second book because I really loved Junebug Jamboree.
I always write in poetry form. I think it's fun for kids to be able to read along with me. They start to repeat the words and are able to, learn to read a little bit along the way. Junebug Jamboree is kind of a sing-song type, a country bug hoedown,
yes,
if you will.
Yes.
And kids seem to really enjoy it.
I could hear the music when I was reading this. It's quite an art to write in verse, and so that you can actually hear the music. Would you like to read a couple of pages?
Sure, I will.
Okay.
So, Junebug Jamboree. Sally Slug was cutting a rug while the Junebug band did play. Grandpa Spider sat down beside her and the spoons began to play. Fireflies glow and do-si-do to the music all night long. A butterfly and an ant nearby sing their favorite song. Twirl to your left, spin to your right, we're gonna rock this place tonight. Ho, come fiddle, fiddle come fee, come and wiggle and dance with me at the Junebug Jamboree.
And I love that. It's like the chorus.
Yes, it is. And you know what? It's repeated a couple of times, just like a song would be, and the kids, again, love it and are able, by the end of the book, to come and read along with me.
Have you thought of putting it to music?
Yes, I have thought about it. It's quite an expensive task, so we haven't gone that far.
You'll have to learn to play something.
Exactly.
Do you have children?
I have two children, Noah, who is 19, and my daughter, Sierra, who is 17.
What do they think about your children's books?
They're just like any other teenager. They ignore me.
Well, it's good to know something doesn't change no matter who it is.
Yes, you know, at least in person they ignore me, but then, I'll hear from somebody, oh, your son was telling me, oh, your daughter was telling me that, and so I do hear every once in a while, but typically, they just kind of slough it off like, yeah, okay, she writes books.
What age are you writing for?
The awards that they have won are the Purple Dragonfly Book Awards, and the category was Best Picture Book, ages, I believe it was 5 to 7, in and around that age.
The illustrations are really lovely.
Thank you.
Who did them?
Her name is Kalpa Joshi. She works for her father's company, which is Kalp Art, and she is an award-winning illustrator from India.
Wow. How did you get in touch with her?
Through my publisher. Yeah. They put us in contact, and I've worked with her on all of my books, and I just love her style. I think they're wonderfully illustrated, and I think they capture the imagination for children. Yeah.
Often when we write, we see our own characters in our minds.
Absolutely.
And did she capture what was in your mind?
On the first book, I was very hands-on. I would actually draw a picture. I can't draw. Snap a picture, take a picture with my cell phone, send it to my Hotmail, and email it to her. And she was going crazy. And, you know, she would send me a sketch, and I'd say yes or no. But on the second one, I learned that, okay, she knows what she's doing. I am a writer, not an illustrator. I will stick to writing and let Kalpa just continue to illustrate as she does.
And you were happy with it?
Absolutely.
I think the characters are absolutely tremendous.
Thank you.
How difficult is it to get children's books published?
Very. You know, you really have to have a thick skin. You're going to receive many more rejection letters than you ever will acceptance. But I will tell you, it took 17 years for Zoo on the Moon. Junebug Jamboree, I handed it in on Sunday night, and Monday morning it was approved. So it's, you know, just getting your foot in the door, really.
And I suppose proving yourself to a publisher.
Absolutely. And with Zoo on the Moon, I'll just mention what happened there was, even with the royalties, I believe Zoo on the Moon was 30%. Junebug Jamboree, because I had such success with Zoo on the Moon, they upped it to 50% royalties. So, you know...
That's almost jaw-dropping.
Absolutely. Zoo on the Moon was picked up at Book Expo America in 2014, I believe it was, by the International Baccalaureate, iblibrary.com, for their primary year science program. And so that's worldwide. And so, again, once they saw the success that Zoo on the Moon was having, they wanted me to stick with them. And so, yeah, they bumped up those royalties a little bit.
It's tremendous to hear about this kind of success with authors in Windsor and Essex County.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, I think it's one thing that often happens is that you don't get the recognition unless you're selling 1 million. But these kinds of things that are happening to you,
Right.
you know, are happening to really good authors around our area.
Thank you. And there are many that are around here. I believe at the Windsor International Writers Conference last year, I think there were 4 writers from this area that were picked up for book contracts.
And we'll talk about the Writers' Conference in a minute. But now, did you go straight to a publisher or did you go through an agent?
I looked for an agent, and what happened was this here is actually a publish on demand. And so by searching the agent was tied to this company, and so they ended up representing me, and just kind of all worked together. The nice thing about Strategic is that although it is a publish on demand, their sister company is Ingram Books, which is the biggest publisher on demand in the world. So any side perks that Ingram Books does, like anything that they are involved in as far as the expos and stuff worldwide, because my company is affiliated with them, they just pull us in, and they put our books out at all the expos and such. So yeah. So
Now,
wonderful.
do you have another children's book in the works?
I do. As you can see, I'm kind of dealing with something right now.
Yes, I noticed that you had a lot less hair than the last time we met.
Yes, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer last July. And being a writer and being off work right now, I've had a lot of time on my hands. And so my next children's book is going to be Somebody You Love Has Cancer, A Child's Guide to Understanding. So.
Because I can't recall that there is much literature out there.
There is not much literature. When I was even speaking, you know, when I brought it to my children's attention, at first I was like, okay, how do you tell them? How do you tell a child that you have cancer? I ended up just kind of blurting it out. Hey kids, guess what? It's positive. But you know, really, then I had to step back and be a little bit gentler and say, okay, this is what it is. This is how we're going to deal with it. And I thought about that afterwards, and I did a little bit of research, and I was like, wow, there really is nothing out there. And again, I wanted to keep the title very generic. I didn't want grandma to have cancer. I didn't want it to be grandpa or mom or dad. Somebody you love has cancer, because it could be, everybody's been touched by it. It could be your classmate, your brother, your sister, anybody. So I really wanted to keep it generic so that when you're presenting this to your child. But I will say I didn't dummy it down either. There are words in there that, chemotherapy, radiation, all of that is in the book. And I've also included at the end definitions so that it brings about a conversation between the parent and the child, or whoever happens to be reading to the child, maybe a teacher, so that it brings about conversation.
That's going to be so valuable.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, of course, you're not just a children's writer. You've written in Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Absolutely, a contributor, yes.
And in fact, in Think Possible,
Yes.
on page 66, Riding High Side.
Riding High Side.
What's that about?
Well, I like to sail. It's what I do in my free time in the spring and summer months, coming up soon, yay. When the boat is tipped, to bring the weight down and bring some balance, everybody sits on the high side of the boat. And so this is, the story that I wrote for them is talking about getting ready to leave a marriage, and everything, all the emotions that go alongside that. And I had taken lessons through the women's sail at the LaSalle Mariners Club. And really, it was about learning to build your confidence through sailing. And through that, just moving on to, finding, better places to be and a better mindset.
We've got so much to talk about and so little time, but very briefly, before we get to the Writers' Conference, you also brought along this Indie Books Be Seen.
Absolutely.
Can you just give me a couple of sentences about this?
A gentleman named Mark Shaw, who lives out in BC, he decided that he wanted to ramp up those people that, are indie books. Be it small publisher or be it indie, somebody who's published on their self-published. And so he started this Twitter hashtag, Indie Books Be Seen, where people around the world who were indie gathered and had this big smash hit where everybody was tweeting each other and sending it all out on social media. And the wonderful thing is that we all gathered and got this catalog, and for pennies, really. And we leave them on desktops in dentist's office around the world.
Now, before I let you go, you won an award at the International Writers' Conference.
Yes.
How important is that conference to local writers?
Oh, I think it's very important. We get, where else can you have the writers, the agents, the lawyers, everybody gathered all in one place? We get to do roundtables where you take a piece of work and you get immediate input as to what you've written, and and it's you get to share your work and just get that immediate feedback.
Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
could talk for a long time. It just has been tremendous, and good luck with your children's books, and particularly the book about cancer in kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Martin's books are published by the Strategic Book Publishing and Rights Company. You can find them on Amazon and anywhere online. We'll be right back.